I've been seeing quite a few TikToks lately that challenge the rise of Airbnbs by offering a variety of reasons why they would much rather stay at a hotel than a short-term rental.
You check into an Airbnb, you're getting a text from a woman named Louise that's like, the keys under the flower pot on the back porch, and you go to the back porch and there's like 1,000 flower pots.
From nightmare hosts to astronomical cleaning fees to lack of privacy, TikTok users have a lot of beef and a lot of issues with booking their stay through the Airbnb platform.
I don't like you.
While I do love having my bed made when I'm out for the day, and I am a huge fan of towels in the shape of swans, I'm not entirely convinced that hotels trump Airbnbs at every turn. In this video, we'll explore the main differences between hotels and Airbnbs and determine once and for all which option is the best and cheapest. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Irina. I'm a real estate agent here in Oregon, and on my channel we explore a variety of topics ranging from prefab and tiny homes to the housing market, the workforce, and the economy at large. I do also love to share vlogs documenting my experience as a real estate agent, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely be sure to subscribe and turn on your bell notification so that you never miss a future upload. Alright you guys, I am in a fantastic mood for today's video. It is finally fall here in Portland, Oregon. It has been like upwards of 80 degrees throughout September, and while I love summer, I was so ready for fall. I can finally pull out all of my sweaters. I have a pumpkin candle going in the background, and I am just pumped for today's video. I also briefly wanted to say a huge thank you for 10,000 subscribers. I am so floored that I'm at 10,000. I can't even believe it. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you for being here, for subscribing to my channel, for supporting my content. I'm truly so grateful, and I'd love to hear from you what kind of videos you want to see on my channel in the future. Truly, anything goes. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm just so grateful that you're here.
Aww.
Okay, so like I said in the intro to this video, the reason why I wanted to talk about this particular topic today is because I have been seeing quite a few TikToks lately, and just in my conversations with people, I have heard a lot of complaints about Airbnb and short-term rentals, and people are talking about why they would much rather stay at a hotel than they would at an Airbnb. I think the main issue is the cleaning fee. That's the main thing that I'm seeing a lot of TikTok users talk about, is how the cleaning fee is well over $100 in a lot of cases, but you're still expected to do quite a bit of cleaning throughout your stay and during your checkout as well. But we will be getting into all of the pros and cons, all of the details, and we will decide which scenarios call for a hotel, which scenarios call for an Airbnb. We're gonna get into all of that today. But what I wanted to do is start off with the origination of hotels versus short-term rentals. So hotels have been around pretty much as long as civilized society has been around. They've been around for ages and ages. However, the hotel industry as we know it started around the 15th century. So in France and England, laws were introduced that meant innkeepers and hotel owners had to keep a guest register. So because of that, around 600 inns were registered in England at the time. The hotel industry continued to boom, and in the 20th century, the proliferation of all these hotels was mainly tied in with the boom of travel and tourism. Let's talk about when some of the key players were founded. So Marriott was founded in 1927, Hilton in 1919, and IHG, or Intercontinental Hotel Group, was founded in 2003. The main purpose of your standard hotel or inn is basically just to provide you with a place to sleep. You are not getting a whole lot of added amenities in your typical hotel. You don't have like a kitchen to cook in. It's just quite a small room, like around 200 square feet, with a bed or two, and the main thing that you're doing in the hotel is just sleeping. Aside from like some of the luxury hotels where you have things like a spa, a gym, a pool, all of that good stuff, usually in like a standard hotel, you just are there to sleep and take off. Basically what I'm trying to say is you're not expected to spend a majority of your time in a hotel unless it's specifically marketed as like this super cool luxury hotel where the experience of the trip is wrapped up in the hotel or the resort itself. Short-term rentals, on the other hand, have been around for quite a while, but definitely not as much as hotels. And before home sharing platforms like Airbnb really popularized the practice, it was still going on, but just under a different name. It was mostly called vacation rentals. So the first online platform to enable vacation rentals specifically was Vrbo, which stands for Vacation Rentals by Owner. Bookings.com followed shortly after, and like I said, Airbnbs came on the scene in 2008. Another really interesting thing is that Airbnb actually started out as like a super cheap alternative to hotels. Right now, I think that there are really luxury, like special Airbnbs that can cost you quite on par with a hotel, like depending on how nice the home is. But in the very beginning, Airbnb really was all about like you coming in and renting a room in someone's home. The actual name Airbnb, I didn't even know this before, you guys. I'm so interested by this, but the name Airbnb, the air part stands for, or it's referring to air mattress, so like sleeping on an air mattress in someone's house. And then of course the B&B part is self-explanatory, bed and breakfast. But it was really interesting for me to find out that Airbnb wasn't really about creating like a super curated, luxurious experience. It really was about essentially finding a place to crash for the night. Airbnb was also the first platform that allowed people to pay with a credit card over the internet.
Revolutionary.
Since then, Airbnb has grown pretty exponentially over the years. They went from 10,000 users and 2,500 listings in March of 2009 to around 150 million users and 6 million listings around the world today. So now that we know a little bit of backstories behind hotels and short-term rentals, let's start off by talking about the advantages to staying at a traditional hotel. One major advantage to staying at a hotel is that you are essentially provided 24/7 customer service. If something is wrong in your room, if you are missing something in your room, basically anything that you could possibly need help with, you can just go to the front desk at any time, day or night, and you will be assisted. Now, of course, you can message your Airbnb host if something is going wrong, and if they do live in the area, maybe they can come by and help you figure things out. But a lot of Airbnb hosts either live pretty far away or in a different state altogether, so it can be a lot harder to get help when you're in an Airbnb versus being at a hotel. The next major point that I already brought up earlier in the video is that hotels offer cleaning services. You can leave for the day and come back to a completely clean room, a made bed, and like I said, a towel in the shape of a swan. When my husband and I were on our honeymoon in Cancun, Mexico, the cleaners folded our towel in the shape of an elephant. It was so cute. If I have a picture, I'll put it on the screen, but I'm getting distracted. I gotta admit, it really is nice that when you're out for the day, you know that your room is being cleaned and you don't really have to worry about that while you're on vacation. Hotels are also generally more flexible if you need to cancel your stay or if you need to reschedule. Another point is that hotels usually offer incentives if you are traveling often and if you are staying at a particular hotel chain, which definitely makes sense if you are a solo traveler that travels a lot for work. I think it would make a lot more sense to book a hotel with those particular incentives rather than booking an Airbnb every time. Another pro is that hotels are usually in a very convenient and central location, very close to public transit, to shopping, and if you are, depending on the purpose of your trip, you might want to be in a central location, depending on whether or not you have a vehicle to drive. Kind of like what the point of your trip is really dependent on whether or not this point is going to be a pro or a con for you. Sometimes people want to be a little further away from the city, but depending on your trip and if that's important to you, hotels really are located in very central and convenient locations. Hotels also usually have a lot more amenities, especially nicer hotels, like I said earlier, gyms, spas, pools, bars, restaurants, all of that good stuff. They will have a lot more to choose from, and there's going to be staff that is working pretty much 24/7 and can assist you whenever you need. Hotels also do tend to feel safer. They have a lot more security and safety protocols in place than you would have in your typical short-term rental. Another point to consider, and something that I didn't really think about before, is that hotels don't take away housing options from locals. So when you think about it, there are a lot more people getting into short-term rentals lately, and they're pretty much taking those housing options away from the people that live in that particular city and need to buy a home in order to live there. All right, now let's get into the advantages of booking an Airbnb instead of a hotel. Though this is definitely not true across the board, Airbnbs do tend to be cheaper than hotels. They also tend to be a much better value. So even if you're looking at a similar cost up front, with Airbnbs, you get a much larger space. And this is a lot more advantageous when you are traveling with a big group of people. If you're having like a family reunion or you're traveling with a bunch of friends, it makes sense to book an Airbnb because you're all in the same house together and you can split that cost. So when you split the cost per person, it really ends up being a much better value than a hotel. And yes, some hosts do charge hefty cleaning fees, but honestly, in my experience, I haven't noticed that the Airbnb hosts that we've stayed with have charged us unreasonable cleaning fees, and the cleaning that we've been asked to do wasn't really unreasonable as well. I think you really got to make sure that you're reading the reviews and seeing what other people have to say about that specifically, and also making sure that you are looking at not just the base rate, but all of the fees broken down and really taking into account like if that's worth it to you. If you feel like the fees outweigh the nightly rate and it doesn't really make sense, then decide how to book accordingly. But yeah, just in my experience, I haven't noticed that that has been a huge issue. Another really cool advantage to Airbnbs is that many Airbnb hosts offer a very curated experience in a nice area, like a very specific niche type of area. When I think about this, I think about a friend of mine. Her name is Annette. She has an Airbnb in North Plains, Oregon, which is about like 40-45 minutes from downtown Portland. And it really is like this beautiful home in the woods. It's such a nice retreat, and it's something that a hotel will not be able to provide you that experience. Like she was telling me about someone that had come to stay at their Airbnb. It was a father with his sons, and they really needed to get away from the city to really experience some peace and quiet. And that's something that a vacation rental or a short-term rental can really provide for you, a really nice curated experience. And Annette specifically is a fantastic host, and she really makes sure that each detail is taken care of. So I think that there are awesome hosts out there that are offering a very almost luxurious curated experience. So that's what I personally really love about booking Airbnbs instead of hotels. Another point that I wanted to mention, and this might not be important to everyone, but for me and my husband and I, I've gotten a lot of critiques about that on my channel. Sorry guys. My husband and I, this is very important to us when we are booking a stay. In most cases, is we really love for there to be a kitchen. And in a hotel, there is no kitchen, and you have to make sure that you have places where you can go out to eat. With our situation specifically, it's a little bit tough because my husband does have dietary restrictions. So I love it when there is a full-size kitchen with all of the appliances that I can utilize. First of all, it saves us money on not having to go out to eat every time. And it's nice to have that option where you can go out to eat, but you can also cook if you want to. And it's a lot easier for us specifically because I don't have to worry about finding restaurants that will serve foods that he will be able to eat. Airbnb experiences are also a lot more immersive. They really allow you to feel like you're living like a local, which again, depending on the purpose of your trip, if you're just booking a business trip, then that might not be super important to you. But if you really want to experience the true feel of an area, I think an Airbnb is the way to go. Basically, it really depends on the traveler. It depends on your trip. You really have to do a cost-benefit analysis for each specific trip. If you are a solo traveler that prefers the convenience, safety, and incentives associated with staying like at a particular hotel chain, hotels are definitely the better choice. But if you are on a vacation with friends and family and you need a larger space, or if you'd like a more immersive experience that makes you feel like a local, a short-term rental will probably be the better option for you. I generally prefer Airbnbs for the trips that my husband and I book, especially if we are going with friends or family, but there are definitely cases where a hotel makes more sense. I do love the convenience of a hotel, of just having everything cleaned up for you. I think that if you are traveling to a location like I was referring to before, when we were on our honeymoon in Cancun, that's a little bit different because it's not really like it's a hotel, but it's more of like a resort. So in that case, you're really there to experience the trip at the resort, if that makes sense. So in that case, I would see that it would make more sense to book a hotel, or if you, again, are traveling for business or something, or if you're just looking for a really quick stay when you're moving from place to place, a hotel would make more sense. So again, cost-benefit analysis for each trip is necessary. As far as the future of short-term rentals, I do think that Airbnbs and just short-term rentals and vacation rentals in general will continue to be incredibly popular, even with all of the recent criticism that Airbnb has been receiving. There are definitely less than ideal hosts out there, but then there are also people like my friend Annette who provide a really, really cool experience and that are really passionate about making sure that their guests have a one-of-a-kind trip. So I think that if you are able to find a host like that, if you're able to find an Airbnb that offers that kind of experience, it really will make all the difference in your trip. Ultimately, both hotels and Airbnbs have a lot of advantages and disadvantages. It really depends on your specific trip, what's important to you, and how many people you're traveling with, which one is going to end up being the better deal. I'd love to hear all of your Airbnb and hotel experiences in the comments down below, both good and bad. If you have any horror stories that you want to share, definitely let me know in the comments. I am thinking about filming a video about like horror stories of Airbnb stays because I have heard some. For every awesome experience, there are a few bad ones. So I think it's good to be aware of those so that we know what to avoid when we're booking our own trips. So definitely let me know all of your thoughts and opinions and experiences in the comments down below. I always love reading through them and hearing what you guys think on any given topic that I talk about. If you'd like to see more of my life behind the scenes, definitely follow me over on Instagram at Irina D. And of course, you guys know that I am a real estate agent here in Portland, Oregon. If you or anyone you know have any buying, selling, or investing needs, all of my contact information is in the description box down below. I'd love to hear from you and help you achieve your home goals. Other than that, I will see you next week for a brand new video. Bye!